The Seminole District is going to have a new face next year, but it's familiar to the Lynchburg area. It's Matt Klein. Now the head coach of the Liberty Christian Academy Bulldogs. Takes me a minute to say that. What attracted you about the LCA job? Because you had a pretty good one in New Covenant.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, I felt that, we accomplished as much as I could at New Covenant, and it certainly was a tough decision to make. Love those kids over there, and we built something special. But Coach Rocco reached out, and certainly there was interest. And then after meeting a few different times, and him and the team just sharing, the position that they're in, the mission of the school, the resources, the infrastructure, and just everything in between. It truly was an opportunity that I couldn't pass down if the job was offered. So, it was a family decision, and really excited to make that decision.
Yeah, and I think the good thing when a coach moves, within his city, it's not like you got to pack up and move the house. I mean, you don't have to. I guess you could if you want to, but you don't have to.
That's always been one of the things is I'm obviously fond to this area, and my wife has moved back here to be around family. So, moving out of town is not an option, at least for the foreseeable future. So, again, it probably would have been easier if I were to tell them I was moving to Charlottesville for a job, but rather than saying, "Hey, I'm moving right across town." But it's the ideal position. So, yep.
How hard was it to tell your guys that you were leaving?
Well, I would say it was the toughest conversation I've had in 10, 15, 20 years, maybe ever. Again, I've been over there for about 8 years. I've been the head coach for 5. And, any coach that commits as much time as I do, and I know they all do, they build these strong relationships, and they love their kids. And so, kids are hurt by it, right? It's very short term, and they feel, that you're leaving them for another opportunity. Maybe they feel that you feel it's better. And so it was tough. Not even gonna lie about it. I was sick to my stomach, and I still, understand it's a tough decision. But I know, those kids are resilient. They got a great coach coming to take my place, Coach Matt Hunter. Couldn't be more excited for him and the program, for those guys getting it.
It's a situation to where pretty much everybody that you're going to come into the coaching circles with the Seminole. Does the familiarity, I don't want to say make the transition easier maybe, but it's not like you're going to be shaking hands with a total stranger when you go to a gym, because chances are those people.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got the utmost respect for all the coaches in the Seminole. I watch a lot of tape and film, and a lot of those games are of the Seminole, even when I'm watching film for New Covenant. I respect the guys, the great coaches in the Seminole District, and the beauty of the district. I use conference because that's what we use in private schools, but the beauty of it is you got 8 teams. I believe it's 8 schools,
right?
All that have a chance to win it every year, and so you got to be prepared every night to bring your best. And so that's going to be exciting for our guys. It's going to have really unique experiences, and looking forward to the challenge.
We live in the world of social media and texting and everything like that. When you told your guys, was it a total shock, or did they have any inkling that you were going?
I think it was a total shock, to be quite honest. I tried to keep it as abreast as I could, and as private. Coach Rocco was so understanding of that because I didn't want it to get out. I remember a situation when I was working under Klein at Randolph College where he had ultimately got offered and accepted the job for Roanoke College, and he texted me on the way or called me on the way home that someone let it leak, and the guys knew before he could tell them. And it was just one of those situations that, I didn't want. I wanted to come from me, right? I needed it for them to look me in the eyes and certainly be disappointed, but I wanted to have that opportunity to tell them how I appreciate them, how special the last few years have been, and be a little bit vulnerable and emotional. But it was tough.
Yeah, congratulations in this day and age of keeping something like that quiet, because it's hard with, coaching moves and player moves and portals and everything like that. And everything, I think, trickles down from a professional to a college level to a high school level. And I know you're a fan of all sports, but I mean, how many things do we really get to keep quiet? So congratulations on keeping something like that secret.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it.
A lot of people will say they're Mount Rushmores. If you had to put a Mount Rushmore of your coaching heroes that you have not coached with in your time and no family members, who would you put?
Oh, wow. Haven't coached with or family members. Well,
yeah, so Nunnally's out.
All my mentors, Coach Alexander, both of them, they're all out. I think from afar, I've always been a Coach Klein from Michigan, a Coach Bennett, even Coach Izzo. I'm originally from Michigan, and so I've got some, obviously some ties to Michigan, and some just from a basketball perspective. Those are guys I've always admired and watched. I would call myself kind of a football coach that coaches basketball. So I read a ton of culture books, and so the Urban Meyer books, the Nick Saban books are obviously great material to talk about, process over results and things like that. But probably those three coaches I've talked about before.
I know you're a Michigan guy. I was expecting like a Jim Harbaugh out there somewhere.
Yeah, he is someone I'd want to go have lunch with, but he's so quirky. I don't know if I could be that quirky, but I absolutely will have a fond place for him. He's probably up there on the Mount Rushmore.
Couple final questions with Matt Klein. Have you watched any game film? How much do you know about the Seminole District and your team? We talked about film earlier, but how much do you specifically know about what you might have?
Well, one of the cool things that we've done the last couple of years is New Covenant has played in the summer league, and so I got to play some of the teams in the Seminole, and so I know kind of their philosophy and how the type of play. I mean, obviously, you've got very athletic teams like Nisi Glass and Heritage, and you got great shooting teams like a JF and Russburg. And so I understand what they're wanting to do offensively and defensively. But most importantly for me is what is LCA like. So I have certainly been watching some film lately. I love the pieces. I have the utmost respect for Coach Redgate and everything he's built over the last few years. Not only the type of man that he is, that goes without saying, but just how disciplined his program has been, how skilled his guys are. And so, I think, again, you talk about why would you take an opportunity like this? Well, I'm going to be able to walk into a program that's already established and ready to go. So we've got some really good pieces in place. JV team was really strong last year, and we're going to be ready.
Final question, Coach. Always appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you throughout the season. You haven't had football at New Covenant You haven't had football at Randolph, which I know is different because at the college level. But are you ready to share athletes on that respect, and how important is it? You don't just get along with Coach Rocco, the AD, but you can get along with Coach Rocco, the football coach, too.
Well, yeah, again, football runs in my family pretty deep. Both uncles and cousin are all head football coaches or have been. I've always said your basketball coach has to be best friends with your football coach. To the ability to share players. I want multi-sport kids in my program. They're stronger competitors, typically better teammates. Listen, I'm okay being the second or third guy on campus, and we're gonna do our best to get to the levels that the baseball and football teams are right now, and the girls basketball team. But I understand what I'm walking into, and it's a challenge that I'm excited about. And at the end of the day, we're going to control what we can control.
I lied. One final question. I forgot to throw this in. Social media is a big thing in today's age in terms of publicizing your program and everything like that. I consider you pretty much a big social media guy when it comes to publicizing your teams. How much does that need to continue from, a New Covenant Matt Klein to an LCA Matt Klein?
Well, I would say I'm not tech savvy, but I've learned a few things over the years. At the end of the day, the whole reason I do what I do from a social media standpoint is certainly to promote the program, but our guys deserve all the recognition they can get. And if I can promote, something here and there for our guys, that's good. Whether it's a team promotion or a stat for a guy or any highlights that they've received. Young people want to see their names, and it's just another way for us to get out there. At New Covenant, a small school that doesn't get the recognition that an LCA or Glass or other schools get, I had to be as grassroots as I could, and so sometimes that meant spend a few more hours on social media to just to get the word out. So that won't change, and looking forward to it.